Sorry. I know you like it better when we have on makeup, but I gotta work in like an hour.
Sometimes it just ain't good for your skin. Anyway, this is part 2 of our video. We're reacting to the devouring mother. When I have it ready.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have a devouring mother?
No.
Do you think I have a devouring mother?
Kinda.
You think it was worse when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult, it's better?
Yeah, you kind of escapade.
Yeah. I like definitely still have some I want a relationship with my mother.
Yeah.
But there's a point when it's too much and it's better for the child to separate.
I agree.
There's a lot of things going on underneath this, and one of them is the devouring mother. Now, Freud intuited that the Oedipal situation was at the root of much psychopathology. Now, he over-sexualized that. That was a mistake, but the core insight was brilliant. And here's the insight. Okay, so human infants are born in an incredibly underdeveloped state. There's a couple of reasons for that, but the fundamental reason is that our brains are so big that in order for us to be born through a functional female pelvis, we had to be born in a fetal stage. That's why our heads are compressible. It's a compromise. Now, the cost that we pay for that is the unbelievable vulnerability of human infants. Okay, now the cost the mothers pay for that is that the neonate is so dependent that they need 100% care. Okay, so that means that the impetus of agreeableness, that personality trait, in combination with negative emotion, that's the 2 feminine personality traits, high negative emotion and high agreeableness. The purest expression of that is give the suffering infant what it needs right now, no matter what. And that's perfectly legitimate for 6 months.
For an infant.
Well, for 6 months. For 6 months. Yeah. It's the right attitude. And it's a very, very powerful instinct. It's the maternal instinct upon which the human species depends. Okay. The question is what happens when that pathologizes? Okay, so what does it look like when it pathologizes? Well, the first is you treat a 1-year-old like a 6-month-old, or you treat a 5-year-old like a 6-month-old. You just give in to whatever they want right now. Well, that means that you start to interfere with their development.
I think that mothers who give in to their toddler's demands after the age of, like he said, 6 months
maybe,
or so.
Maybe up to a year. Yeah.
I think those mothers, for the most part, are relying on lazy. Like, it takes work to discipline a child. It takes work. It takes being
present,
standing your ground. And I don't think a lot of mothers nowadays want to do that. It's just a lot easier to hand them an iPad and shut them up, which doesn't actually help because then they end up becoming toddler adults.
If you really think about it, most of these mothers are working mothers.
Yeah.
So they get busy.
Yeah.
They can't give all their time to a child, especially if they're a single mother. So what do? You appease their needs in the moment and not their needs long term. And that's kind of what he's getting at here, is if you momentarily decide, my kid is crying, let me give him an iPad to shut him up so I can continue what I need to get done. The fact that they have too many things on their plate makes them very willing to give and give and give whatever it takes for that child to shut the fuck up. In the most polite way, But a real, like, this is why stay-at-home moms were a thing.
Yeah.
Because
I had a stay-at-home mom for a while.
I didn't. I never had a stay-at-home mom. My grandparents were very involved in my life.
Yeah, so were mine.
Exactly. So I got discipline not only through my grandparents, but through my parents.
I had Italian grandparents, and they didn't take no sass.
I had Hispanic ones, and they weren't the ones who were left with me. It was the white ones.
Yeah.
They didn't really take sass, but they were, like, my grandma worked in CPS, so she was very,
I remember this one time. I have a video of when I was 3, I believe, and or I was 2, and my grandparents were watching me, and my grandfather had a video camera, and I was outside with like a hat and gloves on. He was just following me around while I was outside in the snow, and I took my gloves off and I put my hands in the snow, and it was really cold, and I started kind of whining, and he was just like looking at me and laughing, and my grandmother opens the door and she's like, "Babe, where's her gloves?" And my grandfather's like, "She took them off. Put your gloves back on." He's like, It's like, she'll figure it out on her own. I did. But like they took something that was like a learning experience and made it funny and not traumatizing. So I think that's why I learned better, because I think when you kind of scare a child instead of make things that could be traumatizing funny, it makes them worse. It makes them more scared. But if you kind of teach a child to laugh, it makes them a better person overall, I think.
I think that that's a very cute story to look back on. But my example of the devouring mother is very different than your example of loving grandparents.
Yeah, I didn't have the devouring now.
No. I definitely had a mother who had me signed up for gastric bypass at 17, and I couldn't get it done until I was 18.
You had your mom scrubbing the back of your neck because of that diabetic darkening of your skin, remember?
When you're young and you could have diabetes, you get a darkening on the back of your neck as well as in your armpits that shows a sign of insulin resistance. I was like 9 when mine showed up, maybe 8.
Yeah.
And I was sent home from school because I was dirty. So yes, my mom scrubbed the back of my neck and scraped it with a fucking butter knife to try and make me not look dirty. But you gotta understand that my mom was from an inner city district when she grew up.
Yeah.
And so being dirty, the whole reason she moved us out to the countryside was because she didn't want us to have those same stereotypes. So hearing that we were dirty was something that was like, sparks and bells off in her head, We weren't supposed to be the dirty kids. We were supposed to be just like anyone else. So
she took the darkening of your skin as you're dirty instead of... I mean, what kind of dirt doesn't come off like that? That's the abusive mother. It's a little bit between devouring and abusive.
No, I'm not. I will say I'm not mad at my mom for stuff like that to this day because, I understand at least where it came from.
Yeah.
That helps a lot in the processing, is understanding where it came from.
Yeah.
But that is the kind of situation where you're subjected to your mother's desires and wants simply because you are your mother's. And the devouring mother will eat you whole. Like I said, I was signed up for gastric bypass at 17, which is an elective surgery, which is why I couldn't get it until I was 18. I moved out when I was 18, which is why I didn't get it. But I would have had half my stomach cut away from me if not for the fact that I had a say-so in it. It's crazy.
But nowadays, little kids are electing to have body parts cut off. Weird.
Yeah, no. The biggest thing was the doctor said that I had to be 18 to get the surgery. So 17, I could get all the pre-op stuff done,
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore.
Well, New York State is a little different with some of their surgery requirements.
Not when it comes to getting your tits cut off at 15.
Not with gender reassignment, but with, physical modifications.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it was viewed the same way as gender, I could have had that gastric bypass the second she wanted me to.
That's where the devouring mother comes in, right? Okay, and that's very, very bad. That's how you make useless, entitled, narcissistic, privileged, dependent, and terrified children, right? Who also hate their parents, right? So that's a very bad idea. Okay.
Whoa. So you spoil the child, spare the rod, and then they end up hating you anyway. That's so fucked up.
Well, yeah, because they don't have a valid reason to hate you.
Well, why do they hate? If you give them everything they want, why do they hate you?
Because you were supposed to not give them everything they wanted, if you're the parent.
But they say the child will say that they will hate you if you don't give them what they want, but then you do, and then they still hate you.
Okay, here's why. Ready? Because if you give them what they don't want, you're helping them mature. Mm-hmm. You're helping them grow as an adult. But if you do give them what they want 24/7, they blame you, and they have every right to, because you've given them everything whenever anything faltered.
What, you think that they have every right to blame the parent when they're 30?
If the parent has been there for every fuck up since 8.
Okay, but when does the adult child become responsible for the adult child's decisions?
No, I think that
I'm in prison because of you, Mom. That's nuts.
They have every right to blame the parent that gave them everything because they gave them everything. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't have the adult right to step back and say, I gotta do some shit for myself. When you met me, what did I say to you?
A lot of things. Which one?
I have to live alone for at least a year before anything else happens in this relationship.
Well, that was easy because I never wanted that.
But
I never wanted to be like, hey, let's move in after 2 weeks.
But that is not something that someone who has a devouring mother that they cater to would say.
Right.
If they had a devouring mother who they catered to, they would not see the distinction of needing some time alone. They would instead say, I'll stay with my mommy until we live together. Because
now, if they're guys, right?
My mommy will take care of me.
Yeah. And then they're like, why do I want my mommy so much? Maybe I'm a woman.
I saw this great comedy routine the other day by a gay man. I'm pretty sure he's Italian, but I'm not 100% sure. And he said, so he was doing crowd work, and the person was like, how do you stop a man from wanting to go to his mother? He goes, Has he always been this way? He will always be this way.
Yep.
And that is the devouring mother to a T. Someone
Yeah.
who the man or a woman, depending on the child, will go to 24/7. And I had one ex tell me that they told their mom we had sex when we first got together.
Ew, why?
That should have been the biggest red flag. I thought they were just weird, but no, I should have fucking run away.
If you are a grown man and you're choosing your mom over your girlfriend, he's gonna choose his mom over his wife.
Even a woman.
Nothing is gonna change.
Just from a lesbian perspective, even as a woman, if your girlfriend is too attached to her mommy still, it's never gonna work.
Ugh, yeah, it's not good. It's
You know
not
what
good.
I've never told my mom? I had sex with a woman.
Ew, why? None of their business.
Number one, she would hate to hear it. Number two, why would I fucking say it? She knows. That's what
That's
the whole...
just a stereotype. And when you're a grown man and you're doing that, I got some issues with you, sir, because you're either... I can't even say you're gay, because not even gay grown men would
No.
do that. That's just the epitome of what a male vagina would look like.
Here's
embodied.
something additionally, I will say from my experience. My father was a mama's boy to the extent, but take into consideration when his mother died, he stopped supporting his family completely. And his mother took care of him when he was down before. And so that's the problem with the devouring mother. You don't gain in any independence. And independence is what you need in this world. Look at the world around us. With a lack of independence, you have just continual what?
Vaginas. Vaginas. Single vagina-like males bitch and complain that they can't find a woman and then hate them at the same time and still wonder why no woman likes them. It's like, well, maybe if you didn't act like a vagina, if you didn't pretend like you had one, if you actually pretend like you had nuts and stood up and took responsibility and had some balls to like go out, be different, maybe have hobbies and talents and something that makes you
the
interesting,
problem.
women would actually be interested in you.
But that's the problem with the devouring mother, is even if they have hobbies, the mother's involved.
My husband likes to knit and do arts and crafts with his mommy 5 days a week. I don't think...
But here's something even worse than that, which no one will talk about and which no one will contend with. Okay, that maternal instinct is hyper powerful, and it's the defining characteristic of femininity. The question that our culture is facing now is, what happens when women enter into the political arena and that instinct doesn't find its proper place? And the answer is, as far as I can tell, is that childless women infantilize everything.
Yep.
Yeah, well, God, Michael, if that's true, we are in serious trouble. Like,
Do you find
Sounds like J.D. Vance a little bit. But he says it, he articulated it in a very intelligent, not cocky, snide,
not saying that
rude way.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that single cat women are killing our country. He said that the devouring mother, because Jordan Peterson says it as like this is what's destroying the men and the humans that are coming out of these people. Whereas J.D. Vance is saying it from a political gain perspective.
because we know the most woke disciplines, for example, in the universities are the ones with the highest percentage of women. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming women, and because I think men have abdicated the responsibility on that front as well. And I'm also not unhappy that we've been able to determine how to capitalize on the broad intellectual abilities of women in the broader civilizational scheme of things, let's say.
That's the other difference. He's not blaming women. He's not blaming the single women. J.D. Vance very much blames the single cat women.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. Devouring mothers will take away from any independence, and you won't find as many cat ladies because they'll be sitting at home with their mom.
That's not my point. My point is that we don't know what sort of political psychopathologies will be specific to females, and we bloody well know now. And part of that's that infantilization of everything. And then there's another associated issue, which is women are also very good, let's say, at spotting predators. Okay, if you have an infant and you misidentify a predator, you call something a predator that isn't, whatever, you protect your baby, it's not a problem. It's kind of hard on the misidentified predator. Mm-hmm. Right, and so part of that cluster B proclivity of the psychopathological woman to cry wolf continually and profit thereby is also a manifestation of that maternal instinct. It's right. You oppose me, you must be a predator. And this is the terrible thing about the devouring mother pathology is if you're
Or you're a racist, or you're a transphobe, or you're Islamophobe, or you're a bigot, or you're an ableist, and you're the words. Always blaming everyone else. That's what he kind of, yeah.
And on that
That's what
note,
it sounds like.
Do you think, as a childless woman, do you feel like you infantilize a lot of things? I'd say your dog, but
Just my dog. Yeah, but I know I'm doing it.
I mean outside of that.
No, I'm usually on the lookout for predators and such, but I don't infantilize. And no,
I'd say on very rare, like very rare occasions, I might very once in a blue moon infantilize something. But usually it's an animal or a cat. You know, like
yeah. You ever notice that the women who are in control, who are childless, infantilize grown men?
Yeah.
Like, but he's trans. She's trans. It's like, but he's a grown man. He's an adult. Why are you infantilizing a grown man? But does he not have balls? Yeah, he does have balls.
I would say that the left is more
You know what I mean.
notorious for infantilizing people.
Yeah, they infantilize freaking criminals and illegals, right?
As well as transgender
Right,
individuals.
and what happens? They don't infantilize the people who actually need it, though. They infantilize the evil people, and then they wonder why our country is. Well, you know, when you baby the evil people and you say "fuck you" to the people who are actually good people with backbones and integrity, your country's going to become. The way it's going right now ain't so good.
This is the problem, is that they say don't let childless women or childless men into politics, which is what the J.D. Vance's claim is.
Okay, well, how about we just don't let people without a brain running the country?
Well, that would
okay?
be great, but we don't have a test for that. But right now the topic
We do. What is a woman?
Right now the topic is childless women. J.D. Vance's claim is that people who have children
women.
have a stake in the future of America.
Yeah, but some children are awful.
Do they have a stake? Yes. But does that mean they should be the people running it? No. I don't think taking childless women out of politics is the answer. I think seeing who actually cares about the children of America is how you find out who should be in our government and not. Just because someone is incapable of producing a child doesn't mean that they don't care about children or want a child. Therefore, just because we don't have children doesn't mean that we don't have a stake in the political future. In fact, a big reason we haven't had children
It's because we can't
because-
physically have children.
well, outside of that, but because of the political stasis of the world.
Yeah.
So,
There are like 3 big reasons why we're not having kids. Number 1, we can't physically do it. Number
Gay.
2, the world is fucking crazy and they would try to like trans our child and then I would be a murderer in prison. And the third one,
expensive.
oh my God. Who the fuck can afford to live in this country? Illegals.
I don't think childless women are the downfall of America, though. I think leftist women who want to believe that men are women are probably the downfall of America.
And leftist men who think that men are women and can't define a woman are also the downfall of America. Yeah.
If you're a predator, no punishment is too harsh for you, right? No quarter. Like, why would you give quarters to something that wants to eat your child, right? It's like no quarter. And so that's,
See, now this is where it kind of didn't make sense because he was talking about the devouring mother, right? And he was talking about women who infantilize. And I think of Kamala, just because she's the talking point right now. And he was saying that they become vicious when their baby is being threatened or whatever. No punishment is enough. But I see the opposite from her in that side. I don't see punishment. I see get out of jail free cards being handed out. Infantilizing and then no punishment. So,
Reward, yeah.
yeah.
You're right.
that's another problem that we have no idea what to do with.
You have to describe the psychopathology quite specifically. You have to describe it. You must. And so in that sense, everybody says, oh, I don't want to get into are they autogynephiles or whatever. Under Lobachewski's view, he says you must describe the psychopathologies of the leaders. You must distinguish between the narcissists, the psychopaths, the psychopathic narcissists. You must describe, I think he would probably go by extension, you must just say these are autogynephiles. These are not actually women. These are people that think they're women and they get angry at you. And the reason they're angry at you is because you deny their fantasy. And you must deny their fantasy because their fantasy is driving such a huge amount of this. And then you must also say to the people around them.
It's perfect narcissistic fantasy, isn't
Yes.
it? Because they are literally in love with themselves. Like
Yes.
literally. That's the fantasy, is that my alter ego is the perfect mate. They're so narcissistic.
Chris Tyson, that reminds me of Chris Tyson. Because you know why? Why it reminds me of Chris Tyson? Because he's definitely an autogynephile, right? He literally left his wife and child for himself, for the female version of himself
Well, yeah, because they think they're so
and children.
impervious. They think they have such little faults that the only reason that someone could not want to be with them is because they're in the wrong body. Because other than that, why would they not want to be with them?
Well, he didn't want to be with her. He wanted to be with himself as a woman. He just spent those years with her incognito, studying her for his outage as a beautiful, sexy, vivacious woman.
Imagine being the wife.
Isn't she supposed to be Christian? I heard she was Christian.
I don't know any details like that.
She's suspicious.
Sus.
Form themselves into their own
Yes.
sexual partner. Right.
That's right.
You don't get any more narcissistic than that. And you think about that, these guys who cross-dress in their 40s and then they have like 3 kids and then they decide to go full woman. And it's like, well, I don't know if you noticed, buddy, but you got a wife and kids. This isn't about you anymore. Who gives a goddamn about your sexual gratification?
See? And these guys are touted as strong, brave, and beautiful. Like when I saw Chris Tyson on Anthony Padilla on his podcast, I'm like, you dumbass, Anthony. Do you not know what you are doing? You are allowing this sick fuck onto your podcast and touting him as brave and beautiful and everyone should be like Chris Tyson. Meanwhile, he's doing all this disgusting
Diddling chiddle.
chittles. Is that what they call them?
I listen.
What kind of person dedicates their life to someone, has a child that they dedicate their life to, and decide one day, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do me. Wait a second. My belief is when you have a kid, your life is done. You have no importance. Your child is important. You come second tier, maybe third tier to your child. So when people nowadays are having kids, maybe they did it back in the day, I don't know, but they're doing it today. They're having kids and then they're being like, fuck you. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to go bowling with my friends. I'm going to go out and club and open my legs up to a whole bunch of nasty herpes-ridden penises that I'll never see again. Like shit like that. And men do that too. Or they just turn into women. But it's psychopathic. Or maybe it's narcissistic. I don't know.
It can be both.
But why the did you decide to have a child and get married if you had these other proclivities? And what kind of woman didn't freaking notice that or see it? You were with him, you had sex with him, you had a baby with him, and you didn't know that he liked children in that special kind of sick way?
It's not even that. You didn't realize that he was going to leave you and dress up like a woman going forward.
You didn't realize that he was a cross-dressing...
Like,
Is that what Christians are? They just overlook everything?
forgiveness.
Forgiveness? For being a... No!
Forgive them, for they know not what they do.
I'm sorry, but Jesus would say, fuck you to any pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
no.
give a shit.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus would say, that's okay, you could go fuck other children. That's okay. You do not know what you do. No! He wouldn't have said that.
You're funny.
And then they decide to go full woman. And it's like, well, I don't know if you noticed, buddy, but you got a wife and kids. This isn't about you anymore. Who gives a goddamn about your sexual gratification? Like, why does that enter? Well, everyone should be able to do what they want. It's like, how about not the narcissistic psychopaths?
Yeah, well, no, exactly. That's where I was going to go to. I mean, you may know there's this evidence that certain kinds of pornography, I don't really want to get into it, but appear to be creating autogynephilia in men at younger ages. And those are the men that are then entering women's sports.
It's called sissy orn. That's what's called. I'm telling you, and I'm going to do a video on this, there is a pipeline from addiction to transgender. Okay.
Wait, I believe
There
the
is.
same. I believe the same could be true for women as for men, which is that
Yeah, definitely.
enough of a lesbian woman. A lesbian woman could probably watch enough graphic content to get to the point where she believes that she should just be a man. Because I've definitely been in that.
To a degree, I understand
I've been in that state definitely at one point or another in my life. I'm sure you've probably been in that state at one point or another in your
Yeah,
life.
I think there are girls out there today who want to be gay men. That's why
Oh,
they're
yeah.
on Grindr.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think a lot of them just don't want to be sexualized by men, and that's why they turn into guys.
I think that between that and then still wanting to be with a man is what makes them go on Grindr. They want a sensitive man, so they want to find a gay man. But realistically, they're a woman. You're never gonna get with a gay man.
No, and you can't shame a gay man into sleeping with you like you can a lesbian. And I have to say this because lesbians don't sleep with trans women. And that's another video topic altogether, sexual orientation versus gender orientation, which I guess is a thing now.
With a sense of entitlement that they should be allowed to compete in their sports because they insist that they're women. So I think
Victimized
that's
women, even victimized women,
oppressed.
So much the better. Yeah, oppressed.
Yeah.
The ultimate. I'm the ultimate in an oppressed woman. Plus, I'm very sexually, attractive.
Yes.
What a
Yes.
deal.
Oh yeah, like when Chris Tyson, right? When we gotta feel bad for the guy. We gotta feel bad for Chris Tyson, okay? Because he left his family to go searching for his truth and to become the beautiful woman he is today. Why the f am I gonna feel bad for that motherfucker? Why? What did he do that makes me feel bad for him? He's got a kink. He's got a paraphilia. He likes dressing up in his sister's clothes and getting turned on and a hard on and in it and all that. Why do I feel bad for that? Unless I'm a psychopathic bitch who lives in America and listening to Kamala Harris. What the